Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. And today we're going to be doing the press conference review for the game between Tottenham and Manchester United in the Europa League Final. And Amorim gave this press conference, obviously, on Wednesday morning and basically ahead of the busy schedule because, obviously, there's going to be the trip, there's going to be the whole planning and everything in between. And the stage is already set for Bilbao. I mean, everybody's already talking about the game. Everybody's talking about how who is the underdog, who is not the underdog, who is the favorite to win, who is not. We're talking about injury concerns. I mean, just an update. Tottenham already have their key player injured, and that is Dejan Kulusevski. Had a knee surgery today and all of that. So there's a whole lot we're going to talk about, like from injuries to like injury updates to Rúben Amorim's talk about motivation, mentality, as well as the spirit in the squad and the tactical clarity within the squad and the Champions League qualification, as amongst other things, as well as messages to the fans from Rúben Amorim. So we're just going to break it all down here and take it, to the next level. But everybody's talking. There's a whole lot of chatter going on social media, especially on TikTok. And if you watch all the things and if everything that they're saying is to go by, then you would now be worried about who to expect to win. And obviously, the London fans are pretty much kind of stuck between who they want to win and who they don't want to win. But in truth, it all boils down to, a few things. So we're just going to break down the pre-match press conference. And then, obviously, I'm guessing there's probably going to be another press conference or not ahead of Chelsea, which is on Friday. But we'll see tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching it. But basically, Rúben Amorim obviously talked about the opponent, and obviously what's the prize? The Europa League trophy. For Manchester United, this is a turning point, a season-defining opportunity to reclaim belief and show resilience and end this turbulent year with a silverware, and that is something that most clubs, especially some clubs in London, cannot boast of. Rúben Amorim's final press conference ahead of the Europa League final took place at Old Trafford, and it was nothing short of revealing. From injury concerns, as I said, to the emotional turmoil behind the scenes, Amorim delivered a message, packed with intensity and honesty and obviously purpose. This wasn't just a coach trying to deflect. He was a coach demanding more, admitting shortcomings and calling for one last push. Obviously, we still have a game, and that's the Chelsea game before the Europa League final. But Rúben Amorim talked about injury concerns, and in that he talked about the key defenders in the race who are in the race against time. The first major talking point were injuries. The first major talking point around this press conference was with injuries, and when asked about the availability of key defenders like Leny Yoro, Ligt, and Harry Amas, as well as Aiden Heaven, and Amorim was very candid. He basically says, I don't know, and they are going to be available. I don't know if they are going to be available. And he said also, and I quote, we are going to try and push, and this is a final, and all the players want to play really bad. None are expected to feature in the Premier League game against Chelsea, but there's a real chance that some may be fit for the final. However, with such little margin for error, it's a race against time. As for Diogo Dalot, Amorim was very cautious, and he said, I don't want to risk Dalot. When you start getting one injury, a second follows, and it aggravates, and more setbacks begin to happen. The implication is clear. Dalot is pushing hard, but Amorim won't risk a longer-term setback unless absolutely necessary. And for me, I don't feel like Dalot needs to play this game, but it is what it is. I think he should just sit out the game, come at the end of the game when we've won the trophy, because with the way Amorim is going, he's saying we cannot lose, we have to win. Right now, with regard, which now leads me to mentality and motivation, and Rúben Amorim quotes, which is the key quote for this section or segment, is that you will never say you were a finalist, and that's with regards to the question around him being in a Europa League final as a player. So Amorim's tone hardened when discussing the mindset required in finals. He drew a personal experience, having lost the Europa League final as a player, and he didn't mince words. This was as a result of that question. He says, and I quote, "I played the final as a player, but I lost. And it doesn't matter. You will never say you were a finalist. You will, if you lose the final. It's like, what's the waste of time, right? It's like he was saying it's a waste of time saying you were a finalist when you could easily just say it's either you win or you didn't win. So if he won it, he would have said, oh, I got to the final and I won the trophy, not I was a finalist, right? Nobody remembers who was a finalist. Everybody remembers who won the trophy. So that's the message he's giving his players. Win or nothing. As I said earlier, it's not about pride in reaching the final. It's about finishing the job. And in a season that has tested the squad's belief and the fan base's patience, Amorim sees this match as the only acceptable redemption arc. Now, which also leads me to number 4, which is squad spirit and personal sacrifice. It won't change my life to help someone else. And this was with regards to the news that came out 2 days ago that Rúben Amorim paid for tickets for the coaching staff family members to make it, I think, tickets for them to be able to attend the final. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe cut back on those tickets and only allowed for coaching staff to go, and then Rúben Amorim paid for the staff members, and fans were just blowing his trumpet and saying he sacrificed for his coaching staff, and he basically just kind of like put his money out there, and based on what Rúben Amorim said, he also said he talked to the players and they also were in agreement with it. And obviously, so he was also asked about like stories emerging, as I said, that he personally paid for staff members' families to attend the final, and his response was moving. And this is what has been creating a rave on social media. It's simple. We had a lot of changes, people leaving. It's complicated for the club to give everyone. So I helped. It won't change my life. This wasn't just a coach defending his people. It was a man leading by example. He also confirmed that after he stepped in, players followed suit, offering help for staff, family members to attend, right? And despite the off-field turbulence, these gestures show that the squad is unified behind the scenes and behind the manager, ready to fight together in the biggest game of their season. So I love this, and it builds like camaraderie and fighting spirit with the squad. And it was very essential that Rúben Amorim led by example. But yeah, now with regards to the question around tactical clarity, he's saying that this is a very different type of final. When he was asked about the difference between facing European sides like Bilbao or Lyon and now facing Tottenham, Amorim was direct. We'll play a different game. It's not like this. It's not the same, but we are prepared for that. The cup is there. You can see the cup, and the team has proven that it can step up in finals, right? The key is, this is basically what Rúben Amorim has said, and this is key. While Premier League's results haven't shown any sense of like energy and all that, they have obviously been disappointing. The group has consistently raised the bar and raised their level in big games, as evidenced against teams like City and Arsenal and Liverpool. From Anfield to Etihad, they've shown that they can match anyone on their day. Amorim acknowledged the frustration around inconsistency and won the game. Even if it's a preseason match, we need to win. That's my job, and that's the standard. Very much straightforward. Amorim is not mincing words or holding back, And then with regards to the Champions League, being a trophy, going to the Champions League or just winning a trophy, Amorim was very honest in his answer when he was pressed about what matters more, winning the Europa League or qualifying for the Champions League. It is. I don't see it as a very wise question to ask someone what is more important. Is it winning the Europa League or qualifying for the Champions League? I understand the direction, but the truth is, you win the Europa League, you qualify for the Champions League. So it's not this or that. But he said this, and obviously you would understand it later down or further down the line when he was asked about that. He says, for me, the Champions League is more important. Europa League is not enough for Manchester United, which means he's saying getting to the Champions League is more important than just winning the Europa League like that. You know, this is not him undermining the trophy, but rather underlining basically the bigger picture. For this club to return to the elite status or elite stage, Champions League football is a non-negotiable, and winning this final would achieve that goal. At the same time, he made a very important point. If we don't win, it's going to be really, really bad. I can specifically quote that. He said, if we don't win, it's going to be really bad. I don't want to use that as an excuse. The patience of the fans will be at the limit. Obviously, he understands how the fans feels. He understands how the players feels, and he understands how what the board demands of him. So he knows what is on the line, and it's not just his job, but the entire trajectory of the project at United. So it's pretty much straightforward with what Rúben Amorim has said in the press conference. We move. Now, the message to the fans, obviously, he says they deserve more than a song. When asked about the fans, on the final note, when asked about the fans, he said that with regards to the questions around the famous chants, for him, Amorim was very reflective. He says they are always here, always supporting, even after 9 defeats at home. They deserve more. I don't deserve a song yet. And the fans, remember the song? Rúben Amorim, we bring the glory days again. You know, we're backing from the Stratford end. He'll turn things around. You know, those kind of things. So he said he won't sing that chant. He won't sing the chant. So even if United won, not out of disrespect, but because he feels he hasn't earned it yet. That is a manager who understands what it is. He says, I need to prove a lot more for the right to a song, right? The level of humility, honesty, and accountability tells you everything about the man in charge. And that is Amorim. Everybody's going to back him from Sheffield End. You know what I mean? So, final thoughts. And it's now or never, basically. That's my final thoughts on this. It's now or never. Rúben Amorim's final press conference ahead of the Europa League final wasn't just a show of confidence, but it was also a call to arms, especially when it comes to the fans and everybody. Injuries, setbacks, and internal tensions aside, this game now holds the power to change the narrative of Manchester United's entire season. I saw a lot of social media posts, just one recently on Instagram, and someone was posting and saying, "Oh, Man United spent this and this amount of money, and nobody's talking about it. They were close to relegation. Tottenham spent this and this amount of money, and they are close to relegation, or fighting the relegation battle. Manchester City spent over 200 million pounds in January, and they didn't even challenge for the Premier League title, and they finished below Arsenal. And then Arsenal spent this and this amount of money, and in the last 5 years they have finished second best in the league, blah 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 blah. And Chelsea spent this, and they're going 4 years without Champions League, blah blah blah. Just said all those things. So when the person mentioned everything they mentioned, I said, of the 5 clubs that they've mentioned, Manchester United, Manchester City, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Arsenal, two clubs have one thing in common. And what is that? Manchester City and Manchester United, despite the fact that they didn't challenge this season, Manchester City are on the brink of winning the FA Cup. That's number one. Number two, Man United are on the brink of winning Europa League. And if you talk about the last 5 years, in the last 5 years, Manchester United have won 3 trophies, or will be winning 3 trophies if they win the Europa League. In the last 5 years, 3 trophies in 5 years, albeit in the banter era. Same thing with Man City. Man City have won, if we don't want to just go, in the last 5 years, they've won 4 Premier League titles, right? So if we're going by all of this, 3 clubs of these 5 have one thing in common. Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham are all London clubs. So that's one thing in common. Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham have not won a trophy in the last 5 years. They haven't won something in the last 5 years. So that is the thing. So no matter what you mention and all of that, at the end of the day, everybody's going to say, what did you win at the end of the season? That's why the fact that it's been bad, nobody is denying the fact that Manchester United have been horrendous this season. And over the last 10, 20 years, they've been horrendous. But check out what they've won to show for it. And the truth is, the club is still building. We're in the rebuilding phase. We're in the first phase of rebuilding in this new era. Arsenal are in their fifth year and without winning anything, nothing to show for it. So, let's not, dive deep, because we're going to start throwing shades and bantering. But Amorim has put it straight forward to us, and he says we have one title, one chance. Let's try to win it. Bilbao awaits, and the fans are ready. I believe the fans are ready. They've booked their tickets and they're already heading there. Now it's up to the players, the manager, to deliver as well. So let me know your thoughts and feelings about everything that has been said around Rúben Amorim's press conference. And let's build momentum and plan towards getting towards the final. There is a potential for us at United Talks podcast to do a live stream watch along. I don't know what platform we're going to use. Either we use our YouTube channel or we use our TikTok or Instagram. Whatever works on the day, we will let you know ahead of time. But maybe I will let you know like in the match preview. But let me know your thoughts and feelings about what Rúben Amorim said. Do you believe that Manchester United are the underdogs here, or do you believe that Manchester United are the favourites to win? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.